Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to be talking about the Scream franchise. Now this is a franchise I've never really talked about on the channel, but I should let you know I am a huge fan of the Scream franchise. I've watched all 5 movies and all 3 seasons of the TV show. I even have this NECA Ultimate Ghostface figure. Now this video is my second take on this because the first video I did, by the time we were like 12 minutes into the video, I still hadn't gotten to the point yet, so this one's going to be a bit better. And this is about legacy characters. Now, my quick opinions on the Scream franchise are this. I think the first movie is a masterpiece. I think it's arguably the best slasher movie ever made. I think the second movie is almost as good as the first movie, though I think the second movie is weaker in some places. The third movie I am more iffy on. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's horrible, but ultimately it's a pretty weak movie. Scream 4 I don't like. Scream 4 is a bit more divisive with fans anyway. Some people like it, some people hate it. I'm one of the people that just don't really like it much, and Scream 5 I absolutely hated. And it's kind of a shock to me that Scream 5 was as liked as it was and was as financially successful as it was compared to Scream 4. Considering I think that the movie gets the whole meta commentary, the meta humor just completely wrong. And I could do multiple videos or maybe just one big review on Scream 5 and why I think it's a bad movie, why I think it just gets the Scream meta humor just completely wrong. And yeah, if you want to hear that, just let me know that you want to see some more Scream content. Now, the topic of legacy characters. We've seen a lot of this in Hollywood lately. Typically, what Hollywood does is it will bring back an old franchise. It could be Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Scream, the Jurassic Park movies. And the idea of it is you bring back the old characters as a way of selling tickets for the new ones. So what you do is the old characters are a way of connecting it to the older movies while also bringing back older fans because they want to see what their favorite characters are getting up to, while the new fans are just watching this movie and taking it as is. With Scream, compared to other slasher franchises, it's a bit more interesting. Now, horror franchises like Halloween, Friday the 13th, and Nightmare on Elm Street, the main ticket seller for those movies are the killers. As long as you have Michael in a Halloween movie, as long as you have Freddy in a Nightmare on Elm Street, as long as you have Jason in Friday the 13th, the movie is going to get attention. Scream, on the other hand, while Ghostface is definitely a necessary part of the movie and definitely the face of the franchise in some aspects, Scream is a lot more dependent on its characters than you may think. The Scream movies, fucking creaky ass floorboard, Jesus Christ. The Scream movies are a lot more dependent on its characters compared to franchises like Halloween. And the reason why is, you really just have to look at the characters themselves. Now, at the end of the first Scream movie, you had 4 survivors, that being Sidney, Gil, Dewey, and Randy. And to an extent, while the character appeared on TV in the first movie, he didn't become a main character until the second movie, and that was Cotton. Now, in the second Scream movie, they did a pretty ballsy move, which was kill off Randy. This caused a lot of problems. Not only did Wes Craven and just the writers they really seemed to regret killing him off, as they considered bringing him back in Scream 3 and ultimately settled on at least having him as a cameo where he basically recorded himself in the chances of him dying, so he appeared in Scream 3 in that way. And in Scream 4 they tried replacing him with the character of Kirby, who, to be fair, did do pretty well with fans. A lot of fans liked her, but she wasn't the same type of character as Randy. And in Scream 5 they've went for the most lazy thing, which is let's just have a character related to Randy And because it's 2022, let's make her mixed race and a lesbian, which is a scene that just comes out of nowhere any fucking way. But whatever, it's 2022, you know, you can't have one fucking movie without woke shit going into it, but whatever. Which Scream 5 is woke, and you can't tell me otherwise because I've watched Scream 5. It's woke. But that's a whole nother topic. I don't like, on a side note, this won't last too long, 20 seconds or less, but on a side note, I hate woke shit in movies because not only is it a disservice to fans, but it does harm movies, TV shows, video games. It harms the content you're making. It harms it. It is a writing nightmare, basically. Like, it is shit. That went over... No, that was less than 20 seconds, I think. Anyway, back to legacy characters. Now, this video is a bit all over the place, like the first one was, but not as bad. Now, as you can see, replicating Randy became a priority for a lot of the Scream movies. Every Scream movie that came out after Scream 2 had that character. That was he knew the rules. He knew the movies. Like, he knew what this shit was. And in the TV show, you even had that. Now, with Scream 5, Scream 3 killed off Cotton, and that death kind of went over a bit better with fans. Not many people complain, although I think it would have been cooler to have Cotton die more so towards the end of Scream 3. But I could do a whole video. In fact, I actually really wanted to do a video basically like rewriting Scream 3. However, you know, I would still keep in place some of the restrictions Scream 3 had. For example, Neve Campbell's busy schedule around that time, so I can't just say I would have Sidney in Scream 3 more often. The writers probably wanted to have her in the movie more, but you know, scheduling conflicts was the reason. Now, with Scream 5, they brought back every surviving legacy character, that being Sidney, Gale, and Dewey. And Scream 5 decided that killing off Dewey was a good idea. Now, ultimately, here is my problem with killing off legacy characters. First things first, you did not have Dewey, Sidney, and Gale on screen together. That's a bonehead move. 2. Hollywood typically sucks at killing off legacy characters. And 3. Quite frankly, Dewey shouldn't have died. Neither should Gale, neither should Sidney. In fact, I think, considering recently it was announced that Neve Campbell is not returning for Scream 6, so Sidney probably won't be in Scream 6. Now, they have delayed Scream 6, the filming for it, so they could be doing renegotiations for Sidney's contract and, you know, getting her back for the movie, but her and Gale were pretty much glorified cameos in Scream 5. Honestly, I think she's better off not coming back. That may be a hot take, but I don't think Gale or Sidney should come back. In fact, honestly, Scream 5 shouldn't have relied on the characters to the extent they did. And I'm going to get to this. Why do I have such a problem with them killing off Dewey? Well, I have a problem with them killing off any of the legacy characters. Now, granted, a lot of fans thought it was a bit silly that every OG character survived Scream 4. And to an extent, fair enough, I can understand where you're coming from. However, Scream 1, 2, and 3 was Sidney, Gale, and Dewey's story. That was their story. They all survived those 3 movies. Scream 3 was meant to be the ending of the series. There was not meant to be a Scream 4, it was meant to be a trilogy, that was it. That was their character storylines wrapped up. Since then, what have they done with these characters? Sidney in Scream 4, you kind of didn't really do much with her, and in Scream 5 you had her make big choices in her life, like getting married and having kids. All of that being off screen. Not only that, but Dewey and Gale's relationship has been shit. Considering that was one of the biggest pieces of heart in the movies, and Dewey was the heart of the Scream movies, having his relationship with Gale at the end of Scream 3, where he's proposing to her and they're going to get married, In Scream 4, you have them have marital problems, and in Scream 5, you have them be separated. Now, while some may say it's realistic that not every, couple is going to stay together forever, it's a fucking movie. At the end of the day, it's a fucking movie. Why is everything that comes out nowadays always have to be miserable? It's always couples don't stay together. It's always people are miserable shitheads. Like, can we just have some fucking optimism? Jesus Christ, the world itself out there is miserable enough. Cannot every movie that comes out be a miserable pile of shit, And I know it's a horror movie and shit, but like, Scream always had that heart in it. My problem with them killing off Dewey is quite simply, this was not his story. Bringing back Sidney, Gale, and Dewey was purely there to get people interested in Scream 5. Because the characters are ultimately what sells tickets for this franchise. And yeah, I have a big problem with them killing off Dewey because, again, this was not his fucking story. He was nothing more than a side character in a movie. Realistically, he should have had a small role in. How would I have handled the legacy characters in Scream 5? Well, quite simply, they would have all still been together. Dewey and Gale would be together. I know the real life couple, David Arquette and Courtney Cox, have their marital problems and they're no longer together, but they're actors. At the end of the day, they're getting paid to fucking act. Act like you're still in love with each other. Is that too hard? Or are you not good actors? Just saying. At the end of the day, I would have had them all be together. They're still close after the events of the first 4 Scream movies. I would have probably even had Kirby in there somewhere. Because, she's coming back in the next movie anyway. I think it would have been okay to have Judy be killed off in Scream 5 and have her be more of a main player in Scream 5. That would have been fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But Sidney, Dewey, and Gale's storylines were finished with Scream 3. Bringing them back in Scream 4 and 5 was, again, just done to get interest in the movies. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but like, if you were going to kill Dewey or Sidney or Gale, you should have done it off in one of the first 3 movies. The movies that were actually about them. When those characters survived Scream 3, to me, and to, I imagine I can't be the only one, but to a lot of people, they earned that survival. Bringing them back just to kill him, like bringing Dewey back just to kill him, is a disservice to his character. And now you've killed off the heart of the franchise. Congratulations. Considering you have spent every movie since Scream 2 trying to replicate Randy, even going as far as doing the most cliche, laziest thing you could have done, which was, let's just have a character related to Randy that's pretty much like Randy. Yeah. Don't be surprised if Scream 6 tries to have a Dewey type character, because... And don't be surprised if Scream 6 probably kills off Gale, and Scream 7 probably kills off Sidney. Chances are they are going to pull somewhat of a Star Wars with this, where every movie kills off the old cast and we're stuck with these new shitty characters. And yeah, they are shitty. A lot of the characters in Scream 5 sucked. I know I'm pretty negative in this video, but you gotta see where I'm coming from on this. Legacy characters should not be treated so badly. Because fans, guess what? We care. That's the whole thing about being a fan, is we care. And there's a whole toxic fandom argument, which I don't believe in toxic fandom. I think it's just a few bad apples in a community, which every community has a few bad apples. Toxic fandom as a whole just doesn't exist. Fans themselves will call out other fans that send death threats and shit to actors, because ultimately we know that these are just actors. They're paid to do a job. The writers of Scream 5, the actors of Scream 5, the actresses of Scream 5. I find actors to be a unisex term anyway. Like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, all the actors in Scream 5, right? Everyone that was involved in Scream 5, I don't wish any ill will upon them. They seem to wish ill will upon toxic fans, considering what they did in Scream 5, but yeah, I just think toxic fandom is a stupid, really fucking stupid thing, and it's something that, like, just do your research. It doesn't exist. Like, if you're a part of fan communities, which I've been, I've been a movie geek my whole life. Being a fan of stuff used to be fun. Now it's not. Like, I mean, like, considering how much I used to love talking about The Walking Dead, considering how active in the fan community I was for The Walking Dead, now I'm not. So, like, it's just because being a fan just isn't fun anymore. Most stuff that comes out that gets shit out of Hollywood's fucking rotten ass nowadays. It's just garbage. It's woke. Like, either it's bad or it's bad and woke. Very rarely will you get something that's good. And even more rarer, something that's good and woke. Because, like, woke, as I've said, harms stuff that it's attached to. And ultimately, Scream 5, in my opinion, was a disservice to Wes Craven's legacy. It was a disservice to the Scream franchise, and it did hurt my enjoyment on the overall franchise, because going back to the older Scream movies and just knowing where the story ends up, I think it would have been much cooler had Scream 5 and 6 just been about new characters, and if you wanted to, cameo Sidney, Gale, and Dewey. Just have them be cameos. Sidney and Gale were cameos anyway. You should have had them be there, and their only job in the movie was just giving them the rules. You could have had maybe one of the characters, maybe you could have had Dewey show up early on in the movie, give the rules, and then at the end of the movie you could have had Sidney and Gale show up, and, you know, you have that moment where Sidney goes to the main character and she's like, this is your life from now on. I think that would have been much better than just having Sidney and Gale almost feel forced into the script, forced into the movie, and having Dewey just get killed off in such a stupid way as well. I mean, his death was stupid. And it was so obvious that he was going to die. Everyone knew Dewey was going to die going into this movie. Do you know what made Randy's death so shocking? No one really thought Randy was going to die. No one really thought that. Everyone guessed Dewey was going to die. If I'm to make a prediction on Scream 6, I think Gale's going to die. Look, if you like Scream 5, more power to you, but, like, I'm sick of seeing Hollywood bring back legacy characters in stories that really shouldn't have them in it, or, like, just maybe treat legacy characters with a bit more respect. Sorry if I'm scratching my eyes, I got hay fever and shit, like, just, it's annoying. Yeah, so, sorry if this was a rambly video, it's just, Scream 5 is a movie that really just tanked my enjoyment of the Scream franchise. Like, I had all these ideas for Scream videos I wanted to do. I wanted to do, like, a fun little documentary style video. I have this really cool idea for a Scream type documentary about the stab movies that exist in the Scream universe. And, you know, I'm not going to give too many details on that video because I still want to do it at some point, and I don't want to give someone else the idea and then, you know, be like, I'll do a video on it. So yeah. Look, if you guys want to hear more of my opinions on Scream, videos that are more scripted so my thoughts get across better, and videos with a bit more editing and stuff in them, so you're not just looking at my ugly mug for 20 minutes. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed the video anyway. And am I going to watch Scream 6? Unfortunately, yeah. Like, when I'm into a franchise, I'm going to watch how it all plays out. Only with a franchise I never really had much enjoyment in anyway. Can I just leave it like Game of Thrones? I'm not going to watch the spin-off for Game of Thrones. Or I'm not going to read the books for Game of Thrones or The Song of Ice and Fire, which are what the books are. But because I was never really into the main TV show, I finished off the TV show, lost interest, I'm out. Same with what's that other franchise? Last of Us. I liked the first game. Wasn't the biggest fan of it though. I think it's overrated. And when the second game came out and I saw the leaks, because I didn't really care enough about The Last of Us Part 2, so I just read the leaks and then I was like, yeah, doesn't sound like it's for me, I'm out. And the game came out and I was right, it didn't look like it was for me, so I left. With Scream, it was a franchise I did at one point consider legendary, and I'm pretty much going to see how all of it plays out now. All I can hope for is that Scream 6 is better. However, I don't see them improving upon the movie much because Scream 5 got mostly good reviews, and chances are anyone that disagrees with Scream 5 and thinks it's a shitty movie are probably just going to be called toxic fans. So, yeah. I mean, wasn't it Henry Cavill that said it perfectly? Like, they're not toxic, they're passionate. I'm passionate. The only toxic fans that exist are the ones that send death threats and just horrible, horrible shit to the people involved with these movies. People that just shit on a movie because they think it's bad, guess what? They're not toxic. They're someone that shits on a bad movie. Someday I want to become someone that makes movies. You know, like I want to make my own movies someday, my own TV shows. And if people hate it, if people like maybe the first season and then when I do the second season, they're like, this is fucking trash, it's shit. Yeah, they're not toxic fans. They're someone that didn't like the product I put out. I don't believe in toxic fandom. I think there's a few bad apples out there, and they are not the voice of fandoms in general. And I think this is really down to it being more popular to be considered a geek. Nowadays, you will see people consider themselves a geek, see that actual geeks, care. Like, just because you buy a couple Funko Pops and you're interested in the new Marvel movie coming out, doesn't make you a geek. Really getting into everything, like really diving in deep, theorizing, discussing, and really just caring about this stuff. Yeah, that's what makes you a geek. And this isn't me trying to gatekeep. This is me basically just showing you that's what a geek is. When someone says something like, it's just a movie, right? You basically psych yourself out as you're not a geek. Anyway, that's a whole different tangent and whatever. Hope you enjoyed over 20 minutes of me just rambling about Scream 5 and why I just think it's a bad movie and why I think killing off legacy characters is ultimately a bad thing. Like, again, this was not Dewey's story. Dewey earned the right to be left the fuck alone when he survived the first 3 movies. And even then, he barely survived the first 2. You saw what happened to him in the first, you saw what happened to him in the second. And considering Wes Craven wanted Dewey to be kept alive because he was supposed to die at the end of Scream 1, but Wes Craven, of all people, was the one that wanted Dewey to survive. Having Dewey die in Scream 5, for someone that says they want to honor Wes Craven, it seems weird that you would kill off the character, he wanted to keep alive. Whatever. It's stupid. It's really stupid. Yeah. Hopefully my next video will be about a topic I'm a bit more interested in and might be a better made video. So thank you all for watching. Peace out. Goodbye. And honestly, if Sydney isn't in Scream 6, consider that a good thing. She won't be ruined as a character.